What a day for the hunters, my fellow outdoors people. I've got a doozy of an update from today, and I'll share it at the end. All right, you guys? It's a doozy. I got a video too. Holy cow! What a day! Wow. So I just got back from the mountain. There's wind everywhere. I can't get away from this wind. So I actually opened up my pickup. This camera is right in front of my opened up door of my pickup, so it won't lick the wind, ruin the audio. What a day. What a day. It's probably one of my more favorite activities in the whole world. Absolutely freaking love it. Having like possibly what I consider some of the best times of my life are these moments. It's an amazing day. Amazing time. Very, very fortunate. Very fortunate to be able to have those emotions and have those experiences, I'll tell you what. That's probably what gives me all of my encouragement, encourages me to try to encourage all of you to make sure you do what you love to do, right? To make sure. No matter what's going on in the world, it is up to each one of us as individuals to figure out how to be happy, make sure you are happy. Sometimes it's a simple choice. Well, not a simple choice. A lot of people get stuck where they can't escape themselves or circumstances and they just can't get out of that funk or that bad place. But the reality is, it's a choice. Decide in your mind what you're going to do and you do it. You decide in your mind that goal you're going to smash and you smash it, and you do not take I can't ever as words to go by. Now, what am I going to do now? I'm going to get this done, mellow out from my adrenaline, have coffee, have a snack, and then I promised Sarah I would I bought a 60-pound salt block. I promised her I'd go back to my other elk spot a few miles away, and I'm going to backpack this salt block in there for this coming year for elk hunting. I'm going to leave that for elk. It'll last a couple years. So I'll be doing that after I do this, because I need an extra hike for today, right? Whew, what a day. It's not over yet, but update at the end of this video. All right, this is titled Bigfoot Encounters. Hey man, thanks for being a voice in the wilderness. I've been doing a lot of online research since my experiences recently, and I appreciate your honest format on this subject. You would be interested in what happened to me a year ago, and twice more in 24 hours just 2 weeks ago, near the Humboldt, Mendocino County headwaters of the Matoli River, Northern California, about 60 miles south of Eureka. I've become absolutely convinced that some unknown animal exists here, and I began on the internet a search of similar accounts. While immersed subtly in this mystery, it became clear to me that these experiences must be documented and conveyed to others. Good for you. Thank you so much. Last July 2018, well, it was a while back, I was staying in a very isolated region, which had very limited access behind 3 locked gates and 20 miles south of Whitethorn, California, on a primitive 4x4 road. This place is at the end of the world, on the northern border of a vast green belt spreading from Shelter Cove on the coast east to Highway 101 and south to Fort Bragg and east to Piercy, as can be seen on Google Earth. About 3 a.m. I was awake. It was a hot and dark night in these mountains, and something above my tent location, approximately 200 to 300 meters, began knocking on wood. Best described as loud whacks on a tree trunk by a big club or a branch. It started with one knock, which got my attention, with a brief hesitation and then several more knocks, but randomly timed. Some in succession, others after hesitations. The knocking was loud, so loud that it echoed down the canyon, and the event lasted only a minute or two. My first thoughts were that there was no one on the mountain who could be out here in the middle of a primitive and protected area. These knocks were obviously from something large, and no North American animal could have made them. I listened intently, while my mind tried to wrap around how the noise was made. The woods were silent, not even a cricket. I told a few locals afterward and learned that there were other hot spots for Sasquatch sightings between Piercy and up to Willow Creek, and the event left me puzzled. Then flash forward to 2 weeks ago when waiting at the first locked gate to this same conservation area, I heard 2 distinct vocalizations which cannot be explained. As I waited in the dusk for about 45 minutes, waiting to meet a party at the gate who were running late, I heard a very loud wail, /scream /call that I've never heard before. In nature, Sorry. Where was I? Damn it. The call was saying I located at about my 2 o'clock facing east and up the heavily wooded area above me, about 200 to 300 meters. I instantly knew where I had heard such an unfamiliar call. About 3 years ago, when watching a Bigfoot reality show, where these Sasquatch hunters were making this strange/unique call while searching for Bigfoot. At that time, I remember thinking how ridiculous it seemed for people to be on television, trekking at night, making strange calls in the woods. There was a few second delay from the first call, then a few more, then silence for about a minute, leaving me to wonder if this whole experience was surreal, pondering what I know about the wilderness. Either that was an unknown animal or some kind of implausible prank. It was loud, echoing down the mountain, as though some huge creature could belt us with the lungs of Pavarotti. Only much louder. The chance of being a prankster waiting in silence with me for 45 minutes in that remote location just to hang out in these impenetrable woods and prank me went away very quickly upon hearing another call out at about 300 to 400 meters to the north of the first, approximately by 8 o'clock. It was also just as loud, just as unique as the first, but came only 3 calls in succession. Ooh-wow, 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 with a distinct higher pitch on the ah. This absolutely blew my mind. Because the first call might be attributed to an elk on steroids, but the response from what was clearly not an owl brought chills down my spine. This was some kind of communication between 2 individuals, neither of which can be explained by any rationale. I quickly moved closer to my vehicle and listened for another 30 minutes in the darkness. I'll never forget this second vocalization. And I must tell you that I have trekked and lived in remote areas in Africa, Australia, Central and South America, many places of potential danger, and never had an inkling of fear. I was born and raised near Yellowstone Park, with 100 times the average distance trekked by most individuals in their lifetime, and never had bad experiences with grizzly, mountain lions, or wolves. Traveling all these years with a firm understanding of ecosystems, I never could have believed in such mysteries, that anything new would ever be discovered. I had a fourth experience, which I must say something about, but it happened just the night before the dual vocalizations. On Friday evening, November 1st, 2019, I had just moved into a cabin that my brother and I had rented, located along an extremely rugged canyon area of the Matoli River. It was dusk, quite dark, already in the forest. I was outside looking at the stars, taking in the newness of these rugged surroundings. Up above, again about 300 meters up and to the east of the river, there was a screaming that was so loud and so foreboding that I could only listen in amazement. It was the loudest screaming I've ever heard. So loud I thought it was produced by some kind of banshees from a horror film. The screaming continued full throttle for over 5 minutes. I know mountain lions can scream, but nothing like this. It sounded much louder, more guttural. Literally as if someone had set up a loudspeaker and played the bloodiest scream that Hollywood could produce. At the time, the night after Halloween, I wondered if someone was up on the mountainside pranking me as a newcomer to the neighborhood. I listened for a bit, then went inside and told my brother about it because it was so unnerving. Bigfoot did not even enter my mind. But then at dusk, the very next evening, I witnessed these 2 calls waiting at the gate. I've since been over and over in my mind, why have I been so lucky as to hear or experience such a mystery? Much less 3 distinct vocalizations which cannot be explained. I began poring over USGS maps and satellite imagery to ascertain what the link may be 20 miles apart. Are there any people or neighbors or access for individuals in the areas I experienced with which may explain these? Could one individual in such obvious stress on one night have triggered the coincidental travel of at least 2 more unknown creatures the very next night? I've talked to many locals about hearing strange noises, but no one claims anything, or they don't want to be ridiculed. Look, I'm a man, 60 years old with extensive wilderness experience in forests and jungles all over the world. The closest thing to new species discovery for me was the Costa Rican jungles, but my mind has always been as a skeptic observer, dealing in evidence based on biology as a science. What has happened to me recently has completely changed me. No doubt, there is a mystery in these woods, and I have a few ideas how to find answers to it. You do, huh? Please feel free to contact me if you'd like to access these remote locations, and I'm very curious if other people in my area are having similar experiences. Something unexplained to science lives out here, and I am beside myself with these recent events. Troy Hunter. Yeah. True enough, Troy. Looks like you added a photo. Cool place. I'll just hold up the screen, all right? It looks, I don't know if that's our type of timber here or not. Is that California or is that jungles? Is that even, can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. Cool area. All right, there you go. Another person going through life, not knowing anyone who's seen one of these things, not knowing shit about it, not even thinking for 1 second it may be real, and then bam, in your face, right? In your face. It's funny, right? How many millions of people have worked remote areas all their lives and never had a half an inkling? How many? So many people, right? But then for some strange reason, thousands of others get it in their face, and there's no guesstimating what age or when, you know what I mean? People in their 50s, 60s, 70s, working in the woods all their lives, hunting their same property, living on the ranch all their life, didn't believe in any of this. And then boom, one day there's one standing there on the back 40. Right? Why is that? Pretty random. But it happens. It happens. You're still hanging out here and you learn some more and you want to share it, please do, all right? Please do. And thank you for the offer to go down there with you, but I'm good. They're all around me now. I'm only about, I don't know. I bet I'm half a mile from where my knife got put in my backpack right now. What do we got here? Oops. It's getting cold. It's going to be -8 tonight. Colder tomorrow. It's cold right now. All the ice. It was water yesterday, and the quad drove right over top of it today. Thanks, Steve. I'm with you on these things being able to end our lives in an instant. My encounter that night will forever live with me. I've since heard about many people claim that their sighting was peaceful and they didn't get any sense of danger, but I felt the complete opposite. The lady in question whose house was visited would say the same too. The loud grunt directed at me reverberated in my chest. I forgot to add that particular detail in my original email to you, and I did feel that if it made a move towards me, I would have opened fire. But 17 rounds of 9mm wouldn't have made a difference, I feel. And you're right about the ridicule that witnesses endure. I have seriously thought about leaving the department at least a dozen times, but luckily now the teasing and the bullying has stopped, and I'm regarded as someone unreliable when it comes to witnessing events, despite me being trained in reconnaissance in the British Army. Oh, who was this? This is an older one then, right? A follow-up from a guy. This might have been the guy who saw Sasquatch in Canada, maybe. I look forward to seeing the clear photo you have sometime and hope more evidence follows of what is lurking out there. I'm not a hunter. I'm a huge animal lover and couldn't harm one intentionally. Not disrespecting to you or anyone who doesn't hunt, or does hunt, but I just don't agree. But when I'm out in the woods now, I do take my 7.62 by 39 with me. If you do share my story, I hope I have done it justice. I don't think I can take much more ridicule about an armed officer being almost reduced to tears. Thanks and keep up the good work, Steve. RP. P.S. I'm now starting 5 solid nights of work, so I may be unavailable for some time. Oh, wow. And then there's a reply from me. This is all in one go here. And here's his original email. Okay. I know I'm confusing sometimes. So here's his original email. Hi. I'm going to share my life-changing experience with you, but I ask for my email and name to remain anonymous for fear of ridicule, as I've already experienced with family and friends. I'm from the United Kingdom, England specifically, and after serving 7 years in the British Army, moved to the United States and gained residence. I'm now a police officer in Monroe, Washington. 3 years ago, I was on duty at the end of a busy night shift. I got a call asking me to attend a property where a resident, a lone young woman, heard lots of noise coming from the yard and feared an intruder. It was roughly 4:30 a.m. Myself and another officer who I'll call by his initials MK attended. The house is set about 3/4 of a mile from neighbors, and to get to the property, you have to drive up a rough track surrounded either side by dense tree cover. Me and MK arrived at the same time, and I followed him up, and we left our vehicles outside the property with the lights on. Straight away, the female came running toward us, crying her eyes out and frightened beyond belief. In between breaths, she told me that she heard someone outside her window, heard the sound of her garbage cans being moved, and heard soft grunting or groaning. To me, it sounded like a peeping Tom or a stalker preying on a young woman, so the lady took shelter in MK's car. Myself and MK moved with weapons drawn to the rear of the property and couldn't see anything near the house. However, the garbage cans had been tipped over. We shone our flashlights around the area, and again, nothing was seen. MK went back to the car to check on the woman. I stayed and moved the cans back against the wall of the house. Just as I was finishing, I had this feeling of being watched. The hairs of my neck shot up, and I had a tingle run down my spine. It was similar to when I knew I was being watched when out on patrol in Afghanistan. The tree line was maybe 55 to 60 feet back from the house, and I had my back to it when I was shifting the garbage bin. I stood and very slowly turned around, hand to my sidearm, when I saw a movement between the trees. Something, and I say something because I couldn't see it clearly because of the time of day, stood from a crouching position. It was an extremely bulky individual. At this point, I could only make out the outline. When crouched, its head seemed to be 4 feet off the ground, and for what I could gather, its shoulders were about 5 feet wide. I yelled at the figure, I can't remember what, but MK later told me he'd heard me yell and sounding panicky. As I yelled at this thing, I drew my sidearm, and it stood. All I can say is that it truly was massive, about 8.5 feet tall. I still couldn't see anything in great detail because I was rooted to the spot. I couldn't move. I was in the weaver position with my Glock held up when the figure grunted. It was terrifying. Its lung capacity must have been immense. MK was yelling and running around the house to get to me and heard the grunt. The figure took off deeper into the trees, and I didn't follow. In fact, I didn't do anything except stay rooted to the spot. MK later told me he didn't see anything but heard the deep growl and thought I was being set on by a bear. The woman didn't stay home that night. We dropped her off at a neighbor's house. Myself and MK reported what had happened to our superior officer, who recommended we get psych tested. Wasn't he a douchebag? It soon spread around our colleagues that we'd seen Bigfoot, and we became the laughing stock of the PD. Oh, what a bunch of pussies that worked there. I decided not to mention it to my family, but the news eventually reached them, and everyone except my wife and my stepmother believed I had some sort of a mental breakdown. MK left the police shortly after, and we lost touch. I'm still in the police department, but I'm extra cautious when responding to calls myself and at night. I keep an AR-15 in the car with a standard loadout, and I have a 12 gauge in the boot, or a trunk as you guys say, with slug rounds just in case I need it. Something that night was warning me, and it wasn't friendly at all. Well, how's that for that? Those are the emails that frustrate the shit out of me, and they make me angry, obviously. Pussies. Pussies. I don't know when this is written into me, but if you're still hanging with us, well, I guess even if you emailed this video to the police, the rest of the guys at the department, they'd know it was you, I guess, right? Send me their emails. I'll email it to them with a personal note to every single one of them. Sounds like they should just be on squirrel patrol, killing squirrels instead of doing what's important. It's too bad, right? If I could sit down in a room with all those cops and your pussy boss, I just look them all in the eye and go, yeah, your officer went out to that call and he was really bored and he really needed some attention from you pukes. So he made it up. Right? Yeah, he made it up. Dumbass douchebags. All right, I'll stop. Sorry, sometimes I can get a little weak between the ears. Pussies. Sorry that's the result of your experience. I'm glad you found us to get it off your chest. We got your back. I hope you're doing well. That pisses me off. That's what I say to people who... I've had people come up to me and go, you expect me to believe blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, did I even bring it up to you, you idiot? You stare them down. Do you really think... I was really bored one day and I thought, I wonder what I could make up today to get attention from a douchebag like you. Because I really need that attention right now. What could I do? Because it's such an enjoyable moment. Right? I know. I mean, everybody knows I hunt by myself in the woods all the time. I'm just going to make up that I saw an 8-9 foot tall hairy dude. Because I got nothing better to do. All the other cool kids are doing it, right? Sorry. Getting off track again. Gather myself. Pussies. Scared little pussies. Testing Mindspeak with them. Unexpected results. Hello, Steve. Not my first time at the table. Lifetime member. So much knowledge here. All you have to do is listen. Thank you for everything you do. It's too easy and you're very welcome. A friend of mine picked me up to go look at a square body Chevy. After looking at the truck, we took back roads home from Salamanca, New York. Salamanca, New York. We stopped at an old dirt road. No houses for at least a mile or two either direction. It was almost 2 years ago now. My buddy's older and so is his dog. They went for a walk down the road to water the flowers and I stayed at the SUV. Excuse me. While sitting there, I thought I would try talking to the forest people through Mindspeak. I felt like we were being watched, so in my head I said, we mean you no harm. My friend and his dog had to pee, and we'll be leaving soon. No words were spoken aloud. And all of a sudden, in my head, I hear, get out. And I spoke out loud. Okay, it wasn't like, get out of here, it was calm. And as I took it, was get out. So I got out and walked around the truck, and I hear them speaking aloud. Jib, jib. They both spoke at the same time. Jib, jib. Then one finished. Jib, jaw, wah, ah. To me, it was like saying, you believe this man can mind speak. God, I shouldn't be saying those words out loud around here, right? Then it was like a couple of cackling hens. You know, like two old women at a gathering with the hot gossip of the day. It was off to the races. I don't know, but I think they were two females. I'm not positive, but their voices sounded female. They talked to each other for maybe 30 or 40 seconds. I think they were shocked that I reached out to them. The language was definitely not English. When they stopped talking, I said in my head, be safe and have a good day. I got back in the truck, and we left shortly after that. I'll never forget listening to them talk. Wow. There was a young man that wrote you a letter a while back that stated that he was out hiking and they came to a clearing and the mother saw a Sasquatch and turned around and told her son to hum. I believe we have stumbled over this piece of puzzle. I believe that sound and vibration play a big role in how they can control us in certain ways. Like by water when they can't hear your thoughts. Vibration, sound from the water. I think it disrupts the sound waves just like humming. I think the mother has had a lot of experience and has information we here at the table should know. I don't know if you could reach out to him, or maybe he will see this and contact you again and let us know more about why she told him to hum. I think it could help when having an encounter that isn't going so well. Maybe keep them out of your head. Keep them from controlling you. Food for thought. We, the innocent people of this world, deserve better from those in charge and those controlling them. Nobody should get to choose who lives and dies. When we lose our humanity, there isn't much left. Thank you for the truth that they have suppressed for too long. It's an honor to have a seat at the table with so many honest people. You can use my name. Don D. Kilbury, Western New York. Appreciate all your kind words for all the people here and your honesty. Thank you so much. Domby. Yeah, the vibration thing seems to be the basis for everything. Oh, there's my coffee right there. In life, doesn't it? If I didn't spend so much damn time in my life doing this shit, I might be able to dive into and explore and find the answers to a lot of questions, a lot more questions than not, but I don't know. I can't seem to. I dedicate a lot of time to doing what I'm doing right now, and fishing in the summertime. I had a lot of time doing this, but sometimes I wonder, how I could use my time being more productive with my time. What am I supposed to be doing? I mean, how many times I've played the game I'm playing now? I've done it hundreds of times. I'm freaking good at it. I've mastered it for me. But there's nothing in life that gives me the feeling that I get from playing the games I play in the real world out here, and the sweet rewards at the end when I smash my goals. It's healthy. I love it. It makes me feel absolutely great. Sometimes when people ask me, well, man, you got a lot of big animals, blah, 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 how'd you do it? I'm like, anybody can do it. And I always tell everybody, if I put the amount of time towards possibly finding the cure to cancer, I probably would have done it 10 times over if I put the amount of time towards that I have in the outdoors. So that's what I'm trying to get across. I'm probably a little confusing again, but sometimes I wonder but how do I cut my time shorter this time here and put that time towards this? You know what I mean? I mean, if I got a little more obsessive about this topic, I'd go at it like a dog, which I was doing for a while, and come up with a lot more answers. I'd probably come up with a lot more of a smoother delivery to explain to people what's going on. That making any sense? There's a lot. I offered up to a handful of people that seemed to know answers. I offered up, I'll fly to you right now. And then they went cold turkey on me. Why'd they do that? I still got phone numbers. Why am I not motivated to phone them right away? Get to the bottom of it. I don't know. I guess I better. Listen to me rambling away. Been up 4 o'clock in the morning. I just hiked around the top of this frickin' mountain all day. All right, that's it for sharing emails. I'm going to stop myself from rambling. Let's get into my update of my hunt. For all of my hunt enthusiasts, my fellow outdoors people here. What a frickin' day. So what I'm doing is I have one spot about, 20 miles away, where the last 2 years I've harvested 2 incredibly huge frickin' deer. Big old bucks. And I hiked around there looking for tracks, looking for the sign, which I usually look for. Usually I'm looking for rubs and tracks. Tracks is my usual go-to when I'm getting a new area. tracks. You can't hide your tracks. And then I started looking for the other signs, the rubs, blah, blah, blah. How many rubs? How common is it they're here? Is it one time random they're here? Or they're here all the time? Is it a good spot? Anybody hunting here? I started doing all the detective work, right? And that other spot I just mentioned 20 miles away, I bingoed it. And when I come up elk hunting, I leave a bunch of cameras in there so I can check them when I come back this time of year and see if there's any big bucks moved in there. And for the last 3 years, there's always been a whole bunch of big bucks before November 5th. This year, there's nothing. Like, huh? What's going on? Well, they started trickling in. So here's one big buck, big old mature buck that showed up. And then got him on camera. He just came in and did a little loop through on the left. Because there's no does there, a couple. And then yesterday, another one showed up. And one I'm familiar with, great big, he's been a huge buck. Great big buck. Big 3-point. Road hunters just drove by. But anyways, he was always a big 3-point, real big buck, like probably 300, I'll bet he's easily over 300 pounds. And he sprouted a 4th point, so that makes him legal to harvest. He showed up yesterday, the night before. Here he is here. He is a monster. Then what? So I left there, and I came back over to here, to this other spot, and I was it 2 years ago? I found some horrendously huge rubs here. Last year I found some huge rubs and huge footprints up this old cut line. And I left some cameras there and didn't get anything on them, but it was always in the back of my mind. I'm like, there's a huge buck here. So I came back this year, threw some cameras down, nailed it. There he is, a great big buck and a great big whitetail. Turns out the whitetail, I got him on a camera 1.5 miles away 3 years ago. Same buck. And they keep hitting these cameras every night. So I went in there, snuck in there this morning, parked my quad, snuck all the way in there to where I tied this post between 2 trees and sat there and waited for a while, nothing. Went up and checked my cameras, and he was here in the middle of the night again. Now he's got girlfriends with him. And it was 3.5 hours before I got there. If there's snow on the ground, he'd be dead. Snow's coming tomorrow. So I'm like, hey, where are these guys coming from? Where are they bedding? I have to learn this area, because on the one, so I'll call it a mountain. One mountain. And it's been logged off years ago, and it's all this shit, this thick stuff behind me. It's all this shit everywhere up there. But even thicker, younger growth. Very hard to hunt. It's frozen ground, frozen patches of snow, frozen grass and leaves. You sound like you're on potato chips in a frickin' gymnasium, right? In an empty gymnasium. With the echoes. I'm like, no, I gotta do my hike around the whole mountain. I gotta figure out where they're coming from, where they're feeding, where they're doing this, where they're doing that. And hiked around the whole mountain. The crown of it. Mule deer love it up high, right? They always like it on the top knob, especially the big bucks. They're always on the high land. Always. Even if it's fully timbered, they're on that top. So I made the whole circuit around, and I'm finally coming. There's one patch of mature timber left on the top of this hill, and it's south-facing. So the sun's hitting it. I get in that timber, and because I wasn't seeing any deer sign, the whole hike around, I spooked one deer. I could tell it was a whitetail. Spooked one with my scent. I saw 3 different deer tracks in that whole hike. We're talking a mile and a couple miles. Probably 1.5 miles. And then as I'm circling back to that timber above where my cameras are, got into that timber, south-facing slope, never been logged before. I'm like, oh man, holy cow. Bingo! This is where they're coming from. This is where they're bedding. This is where they're loving it. No way. And you can see pretty good in there too in some spots. So I sat down, pulled out my lunch, I made a sandwich, ate my sandwich, I'm having coffee. Spooked one doe when I first got in there here, bounding away. It's a mule deer. But she didn't blow and the wind wasn't going her way. Just spooked. She doesn't know it's a human. Perfect. So then I'm sitting there. This is about an hour ago. Well, just before I got here. And I decided I found this one major trail crossing, and I'm like, and I always got a camera in my bag. And I'm like, this has got to be the trail. This is the trail. That big whitetail and that big buck, they got to be coming off this top. They have to be. because I'm not quite sure exactly where they're coming from before they hit my camera, right? And it makes it frustrating because I'm not sure if where I'm setting up to wait in the evening, if I'm screwing up or not, and they know I'm there. I don't know. I need to know where they're coming from. So I set the camera up, put on my backpack. I walked about 15 yards, and deer blew up everywhere. 4 mature mule deer does, like in this stuff, but little bit of patchy opening. They all blow up. I'm like, oh my God, no way. As soon as you see 3 mature does, you know he's there. Not a question about it. And they all start bouncing down the hill straight towards where my cameras are, and then one starts bouncing uphill. Look over, there he is. He's 40 yards from me. And he's not sure what's going on. And typical big old smart buck, they always go the opposite direction of the does. Every time. It's like, huh? Something scary's here? See ya, girls, I'm out of here. They always do it. So the girls are bouncing downhill, he goes uphill, and I got my rifle on him, following him. But I'm following through this stuff. Good luck, right? And then you got the one hole. Stop for a second. I'm just starting to pick out a kill spot, and he jolted again. Didn't get him. But I got my eyes on him. God, I love that. I love that game. For me, I mean, there's a lot of people just driving around looking for a 4-point, right? They don't learn the area, find a buck and stay on them. A lot of people don't. Teach your own, but I don't know why. I love this game. I love it. Finding that big old huge buck and then staying on him. Going on big hikes, get up in the morning, trying to figure it out, being a detective, being relentless. Do not quit. And in my mind, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. It's a fun game. It's hard. It's very frustrating. And it's a real stupid goal. Sometimes I think it's like a stupid goal to pick in life. I mean, it fills up the freezer. It's adrenaline. The goal at the end is so exciting for me. I just get such a pump out of it. Anyway, road hunters again. In and out. They drive in, they drive out. I don't know how anybody thinks they're actually going to get something. I guess, I don't know. Every blind squirrel finds a nut now and then, I guess. But anyway, where was I? Now the game. The buck. Supposed to dump snow tomorrow. It dumped snow. It's over. I know where his girlfriends are. I know where his living room is, his bedroom. I know the stairs he takes to get upstairs. I know it all now. So, I'll probably sneak in there tomorrow. Hopefully there's snow by the morning. And I know exactly which way the wind's going to go. I know which way to sneak in there. I know how far back to park the quad. And no guarantees. There's no snow on the ground. It's no guarantee, but real high probability I'll get them. But it's tough because when there's no snow, you don't want to go in there and run around. You don't want to screw it up and make them think that you're really trying to mess with them. You know, they just want to think that maybe it's a random human coming through. Whoops, get out of his way. There he goes. All right, back to normal living. So, yes, tomorrow. I don't know if I should leave him alone or... Well, this guy has 3 girlfriends with him. He'll be right there somewhere. If there's snow on the ground tomorrow, it's all over. All over. Reason being, I'll know they're there. I'll know they're there ahead of me before I see them. I'll see their tracks. I'll recognize his track. Easy. And then it's just a matter of circling around that track with the wind in my face and get them. If it doesn't snow, that makes it a little tougher. And then, if I go in there tomorrow with no snow and I blow it again, I run the risk of driving them right out of there, and I don't want to do that. But anyway, I'll keep all my outdoors people posted. And if, who knows, maybe I'll put the GoPro on tomorrow, maybe. I might put the GoPro on and just click record and roll the dice and see if it happens. I've done that before. It works out. It's worked out, and I've actually got a big elk on video that way. But we'll see. I'm pretty excited. I don't want to go to bed. I do, but I don't. You know what I mean? It's like, ugh. I wish these days would just go forever. But anyway, I'm babbling. I got to get going. I got to go, got to pack up my stuff, drive miles over there, put that 60-pound block of salt on my back and pack it up the mountain into Sarah's favorite elk spot. Here we go. Enough babbling, you guys. Back tomorrow.